Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Bakes here, and thank you for joining me for today's random horror review. Today's movie is a road horror film, which I'm excited about because I don't think I've really covered too much road horror so far here on my channel. From the year 1971, so it's definitely a staple when it does come to road horror, and also directed by Steven Spielberg, which is probably something to not gloss over either. But today's movie is the film Duel. So I'll quickly start by getting into the plot for this movie before I go into my thoughts of it. So in this movie we have our lead character David. It is a very minimal cast in this movie. I'm pretty sure the character of David is the only one actually given a name in this film, if I remember correctly. But I'm pretty sure he was a traveling salesman, I think. Trying to find it here on the back. I'm pretty sure that's what his job was. But he's driving down these desolate back roads, highways, whatever you want to call them. And he's a busy man, he's got places to be, and going along this stretch of road he ends up behind a slow truck. You know, he's trying to get around him, he's, as I said, got places to be, busy man, so he overtakes him, and that seemingly really pisses off the driver of the truck. So after having a little bit of a back and forth, the driver has just had enough, and it starts off kind of slow, you know, a bit of intimidation, and, you know, going right up behind David in his much smaller car. I'm pretty sure he's driving like a Plymouth or something like that. I'm not a big car person, but you know, this guy's in this massive fucking rig, huge truck, and you know, it starts off with intimidation, just creeping up behind him, ringing the horn, you know, stuff like that. But then it turns very serious very quickly when David's life is now under serious threat, and he's got to find a way out of this situation and survive. So that's pretty much the plot we have here for Duel. Like I said, directed by Steven Spielberg. I want to guess that this is his first full-length movie. I can't find anything here on the back about it. As I said, I want to guess that, but it's definitely one of his earlier ones. No, there we go, first full-length movie. But yeah, definitely got that Spielberg suspense and camera work and things like that. You know, you can definitely tell, you know, with his later movies, you know, what he was working on here, which eventually got better, you know, with later films like Jaws, obviously, Jurassic Park, films like that. But as I said, this is also a staple when it comes to road horror. You know, you can't bring up the road horror subgenre without someone mentioning Duel. I think fans of old school suspense thrillers as well, because that's another thing that you'll hear Duel fall under, you know, just suspense thrillers. But if you're a fan of those old school suspense thrillers, and oddly enough also westerns, I kind of feel like it sort of gives that vibe a little bit, I think you'll really dig this movie. I have seen this movie once before technically, but it was so long ago that I almost could count this as a first time watch. Like, there were some scenes I vaguely remembered. The only thing I could really properly remember from the last time I watched this movie, or I guess you could say the first time I watched this movie, was not really liking it and thinking that it was kind of boring. But again, it was so long ago, I can't really tell you what it was about it that, you know, I didn't really like, or what I thought was boring about it. My best guess is, in terms of road horror, it is a little bit, you know, slower and less action orientated compared to, you know, the road horror movies that we've had since. This one's a lot more psychological and, you know, playing with mind games and things like that. Don't get me wrong, there are a lot of like action set pieces and some crazy shit going on, but a lot of it is a psychological game and things like that. So maybe, you know, however long ago the last time I watched this movie, I was just, you know, expecting a little bit more on the action side of things. But either way, getting into the movie for this review and revisiting it, I actually ended up really liking this movie. Like, I was so into it, and this movie just flew by. I had a great time watching it again, so it is sort of hard, again, to compare the first time watching it to now. But yeah, I had a great time. I really liked the scenery and the open road setting, with these old school rustic, like, American pit stops everywhere. As an Australian, you know, I can't really say what it's like over there, because I've never really been there before, but it's just sort of everything you picture when, you know, you go back and watch these classic movies and whatever. I just found the aesthetic to be really cool. The aesthetic of the film, just in general, it felt like one of those like late night channel movies where, like, you're a little kid and you get up at like 1 in the morning because you can't sleep and you just chuck something on. It gave me like a sense of nostalgia for something like that, gave me those kind of vibes. But I was really digging it. I just thought it was really cool. It does a really decent job of building that suspense and tension and making this truck intimidating and unpredictable. And again, that's something that Spielberg is very good at, so it should come as no surprise. But I like that they keep the truck driver hidden. You know, they actually don't reveal him. By the end of the movie, you still don't know who was driving the truck. I know that's kind of a spoiler, but the movie's from fucking 71, so leave me alone. But I really like that because, first of all, it makes the truck itself feel a lot more like a character. And that's something that is really cool when it comes to road horror, and I think just vehicle horror in general. When you can make an object that isn't alive feel like a character, I think you're doing a very good job. And they make the truck feel like a genuine character in this, and I think that's really cool. And I think that's another thing that's like really cool when you have like road horror or vehicle horror. It's okay to, like, you don't always need to keep the driver hidden or, you know, not give them a reveal or anything, but if you can make them sort of one and one, like, you know, make them feel like just one being, like, I think that's another really cool thing here, and it's done really well in Duel. But it also creates good tension of, like, if you're ever going to get the reveal of the driver. There's really cool scene within a cafe where David is, like, sitting at this table and there's just a lineup of truck drivers and he's trying to pick which one could be behind the wheel, and it's a great scene. It's really cool. So getting into our lead in this movie, David, who is played by Dennis Weaver. I should actually double check that. Yeah, Dennis Weaver. It would be weird if I got it wrong. Like I said, he's pretty much the only character in this movie that actually gets given a name. Very minimal cast. But I really like him as our lead in this movie. He's just this meek, everyday guy. You sort of get the impression that he's a bit of a pushover, and, you know, he's trying to be a bit more absurd in his life and, you know, a bit more, I guess, masculine, if that's how you want to word it. A lot of what's going on in this movie, or at least what I interpret it as and what I get out of it, it's about, you know, manhood and standing up for yourself and being a bit more, like I said, masculine and absurd. And really, if you break this movie down, it's road rage that bottles up and evolves into a battle of masculinity. Like, when he first overtakes the truck driver in his rig, like I said, he's driving slow, he drives out in front of him, and it's almost like the truck driver goes, "What, you think you're a fucking big man?" And he does it again, and they do it back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and then obviously someone just takes it to an extreme level. But I really just feel like this movie is kind of a battle of masculinity, and it's set up very early on. Like, even before he has that first interaction with the truck, you know, he's listening to the radio, and there's like a radio prank going on, and this guy's calling this number, and he's like, "Well, you know, you're asking me, am I the man of the house? And I'm not sure if I am the man of the house or the head of the house, because my wife does everything, and how can I be more blah, blah, blah." So it's like something that's laid out very early on, and, you know, it's small themes like that I was kind of enjoying in this movie, and I feel like it is definitely a product of the 70s. I feel like, you know, the theme of being more masculine and more absurd is just something that we don't really see in movies anymore. If anything, it's kind of the opposite. But moving on, even moments off the road in this movie, I was like really digging. Again, like I mentioned before, the scene in the cafe where he's sitting there and there's a lineup of truck drivers and he's like thinking, like, who the fuck is messing with me? I got to figure this out. And then actually, while I'm on that quickly, there are lots of moments in this movie where he's having moments of like inner dialogue or monologues or whatever, and it's a voiceover of like what he's thinking in his head. And it's a small nitpick. Like, I'm not going to take major points off the movie, but I kind of wish they didn't bother with like these, you know, voiceovers of what he's thinking. I just wish he was speaking out loud, or even if he's whispering to himself and like, okay, I got to do this and I got to figure out this and this. I just feel like the inner monologues and dialogues and whatever, like, I don't know, the movie's just so real and grounded. Like, it was just a small element, small nitpick, but I think they could have changed that up. But moving on, yeah, there's just so many small things in this movie I was really digging. Like I said, the aesthetic, the setting, the roads, the pit stops, the cafe, that fucking snake lady when he pulls over to use the phone and she's got her fucking reptiles everywhere. I thought that was cool as fuck. And being an animal lover, when that truck fucking rolls through, I'm like, oh, fuck me. I cared more about the fucking animals by that point. But I don't want to break it down too much either. There is a lot of action in this movie. Like I said, it is a lot more psychological, and, you know, a lot of it is mental mind games, but there's some cool action set pieces in here too. You know what, giving this one a score, like I said, the first time I saw this movie so long ago, you could pretty much count this as a first time watch, but I just remembered it being boring, so I was a little wary going into this one, but I was fucking with it heavy. I'm going to give this one a 7.5, very, very close to an 8. I just don't want to jump the gun, but if I was ever to review this one again down the track at some point, or fuck, you could ask me in 2 days' time, I might be there at the 8, but 7.5, very close to an 8, and yeah, one that I think a lot of people would really enjoy if you haven't seen it already. I'm actually really annoyed I put off rewatching this one for so long, but there we go. Thank you for joining me for this random horror review, guys. Quick shout out to someone who for a long time has been asking for a very specific shout out. Someone who is great support, starts with M, long overdue. My subscribers, thank you to my subscribers, guys. Couldn't do it without you. I've had a great growth in subscribers recently, so I appreciate that massively. Thank you for all the support, and yeah, I don't know, you'll see me for another video soon, guys. Peace.